Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Stewards Room. Myself and, of course, our head steward, Colin R. Mason, in the box tonight to run through, not last week's, Colin, the week before, as we had a break last week.
Yeah, of course. So we obviously had a British bank holiday last weekend, so we've had a bit of a break, and very excited to get going again.
Yes, me too. And back at the Netherlands for this Sunday's race, of course, a track that the F1 drivers are racing around in real life. Something that we've only started on last year's game, Colin, where we tried to match up where the actual F1 calendar is and where we're going to be racing, which has always helped build a bit more excitement.
Yeah, because I get more hyped for the real Formula One and One Hub at the same time. It builds a hype up really well.
Well, speaking of hype, last week in Canada, we had round two where our P1, P2, and P3 tier all took to the track. And of course, naturally in Canada, Colin, a completely different track to obviously the week before in Silverstone, the opening round. And naturally, there's a few more incidents, notably in the last corner, which was something that the stewards mentioned in their briefing. So, how important is it to read that briefing?
Well, this is the thing. It's so important to sit down and digest exactly what Kingen has put into the stewards briefing, because it does give you a lot of help going into the race. From everything from corners that are risky to certain bumps on the track to action areas. So it's really important that everyone reads the stewards briefing.
Yeah, I mean, generally there was all three tiers had some good racings, few safety cars, none in the P1 tier, but further down we had some safety cars. So interestingly, that there was a few DNFs, of course, being the walls being so close, Colin. But nevertheless, all three tiers put on a good show for us, and the stewards had some work to do for round two in Canada, but just wanted to point out that it was so nice that within the stewards, Kingen, Mark, and Colin, they each have their own roles that they do. One does the briefing, one does the results, one does the sim grid, one does the penalty points, and it was so nice to see that Mark covered you on your stewards results, and then you're covering Kingen this week for the briefing. So you guys work really well together.
Yeah, it's and we've been working together now for quite a few seasons, and I think we work so well together. And it's quite interesting because we've got our dynamic now, and it works so well. And we bounce off each other very, very well, and we're good mates as well, which always helps.
Definitely does. All right, we've got Jess in our ear and controlling everything that you see on stream, as always, doing a fantastic job. We're going to jump into the incidents from last week. So we've picked 4 to highlight that Jess is going to show on stream. So we're going to start with the P1 tier, and it was Alexa and Keys, the pit entry. Now, the stewards did specifically mention this in their stewards briefing because from previous seasons in One Hub, we've seen this incident before. So hopefully you should be able to see on your screen very soon the pit entry between Alexa and Keys. Colin, heading down to the final corner, perhaps you could just talk us through what happened here.
Yeah, so you can see that Alexa decides he wants to go in the pit lane. He's going to be braking a lot later than Keys because Keys wants to go around the final chicane. And you can see that he misjudges where he is and hits the back of Keys. Keys then has to go across the chicane onto the runoff. In all fairness, he did admit fault straight away, Alexa. But it's one of those things where if he paid a little bit more attention to the steward's briefing, it might have saved him a penalty there. So I think that was a 5 seconds, if memory serves, is what we decided to issue the driver. And he did get front wing damage from it as well. So little things like that, if he would, saw the stewards briefing, he might have been a little bit more cautious. But it's a common thing, isn't it, Nick? We've seen it so many times. Pretty much every time we go around Canada, we see that kind of incident.
Yeah, you either see it happen and end up in contact like that, or you see a near miss. So that obviously resulted in wind damage. So in a sense, Key didn't really lose too much because he didn't get rear wing damage from the incident. But Alexa obviously got the wing damage, and obviously, as you said, he admitted fault. So ended up with a penalty. So let's jump on to the P2 tier, Larkin and Rich and the safety car Delta. Cole, perhaps you can just give us a bit of a background, because this was introduced a few seasons ago, this Delta.
Yes, so a couple of seasons ago, we noticed a driver create a huge Delta, and it was over, I think it was, memory serves, about 8.5 seconds. And he was doing that to make sure that when he pitted, he wasn't going to get held by his teammate. We therefore introduced a rule that says you must keep the Delta below 5 seconds. So if you watch this now, you will see it get close to 5 seconds, goes very, very slightly over, but importantly, when they come in the pit lane, it's below that 5 seconds. So when he enters the pit lane, the Delta is below 5 seconds. So on this occasion, we didn't deem it necessary to... So there you can see that it's down to 4. In fact, it went down to 3.9 there, just before they boxed. So we decided to take no further action. But it is a reminder to the stewards. In all fairness, Rich played it to perfection. He obviously, he said that he was aware of the rule. And he made sure that he stayed just below it. But just a reminder, if you are going to try and create a gap, you've got to keep it below 5 seconds.
Yeah, so when you come into the pit, it's got to be below. And I think what the stewards said as well, Cole, was although it went over 5 seconds prior to entering the pit lane, because it was brought down, they felt that no advantage was... There was no deliberate chance to try and create an advantage. So yeah, no further action for that one, and we're going to move on to a time penalty removal for Lukey in the P1 tier. So we often see these most weeks, Colin, where drivers try and get a penalty removal, but this one was a bit of a strange one because it involved whilst happening behind a safety car and resulted in a 10-second penalty, which of course Lukey rightly wanted removed. Thankfully he didn't have to pit again, because if he did, he would have had to serve it, and therefore the stewards could not have removed it. But just talk us through. Curry was a little bit of a naughty boy here and caused a bit of a mess for a few drivers. But ultimately, because Lukey was able to show his race director, which you can see he's doing on screen now, this was included with his stewards ticketing, and he had it removed.
Yeah, so you could see from the footage that I think it was Curry, was it? Did you say, Nick? It was sideways in the wall. So Lukey had every right to obviously overtake him. You can see. So there's Curry, look, sideways, and the game randomly says that was an illegal overtake, which was obviously nonsense. So yes, like Nick said, thankfully Lukey didn't need to stop again, and so he could have it removed. And as you can see in the video, showed all his race director so that we could see all the warnings, etc., and we could remove it then.
So Gaza in the chat thinks, Colin, we should have a sky pad or a purple pad, maybe we should call it, and we could stand there and zoom in and do cool things with it. And Larkin thinks it's a good idea, so I take that as Larkin wants to contribute towards that setup for us, and they're both happy to for the entry fee to increase.
Yeah.
And our travel expenses to be paid for all right, Jess is going to bring us up Mikey and Mike. And again, Cole, we mentioned that the final chicane in Canada, usually we see incidents every season in the steward's office. You can see on your screen now, this is right at the end of the race. So, pit stops are all done, and this is racing for position. And we can see here that already one position is lost, Cole. And then the next one, lost as well. The stewards took a view of no further action. Why did you guys come to that decision there?
Yeah, so you can see from the footage that this is not going to get confusing at all, is it, Mikey and Mike? But Ivor Bryn Mike is on the inside, way before the braking zone, so he's completely alongside.
Don't know if Jess can pause it at any point.
Yeah, if you could pause it, Jess, just... There you go. So he's fully alongside of him. Mikey goes to the escape road, but there was nothing that Ivor Bryn Mike did wrong here. This is not a chicane you can go side by side with. It ain't going to happen in a million years. I don't care who you are. So
the point of turning, which I think is quite obviously, we're at it now. You can see that Mike is fully alongside. In actual fact, slightly ahead, Colin. So pretty much due to the type of corner, the position's lost.
Yeah, so it would have been the best thing that Mikey could have done here would be to brake early, because Ivor Bryn Mike's going in tight. He's going to have a slow exit. So the best thing that Mikey could have done here was brake a bit earlier, and then try and get a run down the main straight. He does try hanging it around the outside, but you ain't going to manage it. And there was nothing there that was. That Ivor Bryn Mike had done wrong, so that was quite a clear no fault found, that particular incident.
Alrighty, those are some of the incidents that the stewards felt we should highlight after Canada. So for those watching, hopefully that's been valuable. For Mikey, as he's saying, that's PTSD. Nevertheless, it was good racing. And the P2 tier is hugely competitive this season, so we expect to see lots more battles. Now let's move on to some good examples, Colin. Jesse's going to pull up some good examples of things that we like to see, some good battles, some good starts, things like that. So I think we're going to start with the P3 start, and we're going to see your dad's overtake, which you, Colin, said is probably one of the best you've ever seen. Talk us through it.
This is, without a shadow of a doubt, Dad's best overtake. It's not even close. So you can see here now, he gets a really good run, and he decides to brake later and hang it around the outside. Now, the brilliant thing here, this is good. This is great driving from the pair of them. Little bit of a nudge there, but nothing too untoward there. But the fact that Jacob was 100% aware of where Dad was and gave him room was brilliant, and that is a perfect execution of how you overtake and try to defend turn one. It was very brave, but great respect shown from both drivers as well. And in all fairness to Jacob, he even after the race congratulated Mason on his overtake in the chat as well.
I think what's really important to highlight here is that when you're going for an overtake, you've got to not see the future, but know the corners ahead of you. So JR Mason knew that by being on the outside of turn 1, be on the inside of turn 2, which also was the inside here of turn 4, the chicane. So he's planned this move in advance. To me, what it looks like, by starting sitting there second on the grid call, to me, it looked like he'd orchestrated exactly what he was going to do. Obviously, putting it into practice is harder, but in his head, he'd worked out that, it's not just about braking later than the car for that one corner. It's about analyzing what corners are coming next, where does my car need to be. And as you said, there are a few little wheel bangs, but if there is ever going to be contact, that's the contact you want, wheel against wheel on both front and rear. So, well done to Jacob and JR Mason for a tasty start. Then you can see a bit of damage down in the hairpin. And let's jump over now to Casper's start in the P1 tier. Jess is hopefully going to bring that up on stream for us, and there'll be another one to look at. So we can see here, so Casper gets a brilliant start call on the outside here into turn 1. You can see that he's already gained position. The cars kind of go to the inside, so he's able to brake late, and again doing the same thing as your dad. Braking late on the outside becomes the inside for turn 2.
Yeah, the perfect positioning of the car there from Casper, and gained quite a few places. He had a brilliant getaway, but and actually went from 8th all the way up to 5th, which is brilliant. You can see that's me, by the way, on the left, having the world's biggest wobble. So you can see it. He's even realised that he's going to get better traction on the exit against the Alpine as well. So that was a brilliant start. And he couldn't have done anything better, really. That was pretty spot on.
Spot on, all clean, looking for the gaps. And, you know, I think if you got a car in front of you, you can't brake as late as Casper did. But because they've kind of cleared the way, it gives you that bit of breathing room just to be a little bit later on the brakes than perhaps you normally would want to be into turn 1, lap 1. So yeah, great racing from the P1 tier there at the start. And Jess is going to bring up, we're going to have some Rob's battles. Now, I had a good battle with Rob in the race. I don't know whether that's going to feature, but you can see in the Red Bull here, heading towards turn 1. So it's me. So I've gone down the inside, carried more speed. He's switched back on me, Cole. Now trying to get the inside as we head down to turn 4. Almost contact there as we're both fighting the rear of the car.
Yeah, that was really good. It's when you're overtaking in there, you have got to be aware. Like you can see now that he's tried out, he's not quite far enough alongside, so he does back out of it. You can see then that Nick gives him just a car's width on the exit, but that was a good run then down the main straight. But it's when you're trying to go down the inside of that corner, it's so easy to completely outbrake yourself, and you're almost better off, like you can see here now. So when Nick comes alongside, you'll see that he runs nice and wide, and what it does is and then you can have a slower exit. Then you almost bulk the driver behind then. So that was good racing from the pair of them.
And I think what Rob's done really cleverly here is he's seen that I've kept my ERS on none from the flashing light, and he's gone for, you don't normally go for an overtake here, but he's gone for a potential overtake. Now, as you said, he gets a little bit tasty there, his front right against my rear left. And I don't know if Jess can rewind and pause it, but at the point of turning, you mentioned, Cole, he wasn't 50% alongside, which is why I turned the car in. Kind of, it's my corner in regards to the rules. Jess is rewinding it for us here. So it's just coming up, Jess. This next turn, keep going. No, you were there.
So be turn
5,
1,
6?
2, 3, 5, 6.
After this chicane, Jess, where there's a little bit of contact. So keep going. Keep going, Jess. So I would say at this point, Colley's 50% alongside, but it's at the point of turning that he needs to be 50% alongside.
Yes. So of course, I think this is when you actually use the bit of you. There you go. See, so he's what he's done. He's broke a little bit too early, and then still tried to go for it. He did try to get out of the way at the last minute, but no harm done. No spin, no damage. So as you were.
Alrighty, and the fight for the podium before the last safety car, Jess is going to show us next. So we always love fights for podiums and wins, and when it's respectful and clean, it makes it even more enjoyable. So here we are, Colin, in the P2 tier once again.
Yeah, so you can see now we're on board with Iverborough and Mike. Larkin is behind on the mediums. Sorry, Moque's behind on the mediums, so he has got better tyres. So it's all about realising it and where you're going to use it. He's going to have a lot more traction. And you can see him now, he's got so much more grip on the exit than Mike has.
It's just about biding his time, really, as he lines him up. He knows he's on fresher tyres. He knows that he needs to get this pass done. So it's a case of DRS coming up, able to use the curb with the fresher grip. And you can see now, waits for the DRS. And then as we head down underneath the bridge here, goes down the inside. Nope, thinks better of it. So again, it's all about making those calculated risks, Cole, that you got to do at, sometimes 200 miles an hour. And you've got to think about, and you can see now that the Sauber driver's saving his ERS on the run down there, and now he's going to use the extra grip, dump a bit of ERS, and use the DRS. to get this move done into the chicane, which of course is the natural overtaking point.
Yes, so he's still not quite close enough. So you can see that he's doing his best. Now, there you can see Mike now. So Mike defends as we just switch over to... that's Rich Lowe having a spin. But you can see where Mike positions his car. So he was making it very, very difficult for Mokwe, especially in the second DRS zone, where he was basically putting the car in the middle. Not quite enough room left or right. So that was very, very clever driving from Mike on those hard tyres. And
you can see Larkin now. So this is actually the lap before where Larkin is going to get past. But yeah, Mike, as you said, on that second DRS, goes to the middle of the track and then comes back towards the racing line. So he's allowed to do that. It's not weaving on the straight if the driver makes a move and then drifts back towards the natural racing line, whether you're attacking or defending. So you can see here that this is what transitioned into what we just watched previously. So good racing, good defending from Mike. What we love to see, really, Colt.
Yeah, exactly that. Mike's been in this game a long time now, and you've got to get up very early to catch him out on things like that. So that was good driving by Mike.
Alrighty, so let's talk about this week, Cole. This Sunday, Netherlands. It's a great track, really technical, very short, but still challenging.
Yes, obviously a high downforce circuit as well. Some drivers will try and risk taking some wing out, so they've got a little bit more straight line speed, but not wanting to do it too much because of the nature of the track being naturally a high downforce circuit. Now, one thing has popped into my head, and I want to mention it now because I will forget. I noticed a bit of a game glitch during a practice session this afternoon when I came home from work. So, please be aware, drivers, that if at any point the game suggests to you a different strategy and you do not select an option, it can and will, for me, change your tyre strategy. So just be aware when you're coming into the pit lane, have a double check on your MFD and make sure that you've got the tyre selected that you wish to have, because it can change it.
Alrighty, and a couple things about this track that it's important to note. It's very narrow, so yeah, the long straight is nice and wide, but the rest of the track is quite narrow, so just be mindful. You know, if you're trying to go side by side, you know, places like after the bank corner where it's changing direction quite quickly, just bear in mind it is quite narrow, and it's not like Qatar or a track like that, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, where there's runoff either side of the curb. It's grass, and at those sorts of speeds, touch the grass with your tires in such high temperatures around here, you're going to potentially end up in the wall. A few other corners to think about, Cole, is the final corner. The final kind of banked corner. If you go on too much on the curb, your car will bottom out and it will suck you into the barrier. So that's something to be careful of. I actually crashed there last season. Now, Cole, we were doing some practice earlier. Talk us through this battle between you and I.
Yeah, so I have a bit of a look down the inside. Nick gives me room. We stay side by side, but you can see that even though I have gone for it, it was late-ish, but Nick found far more grip on the exit, manages to get a much better run, because I'm inside, I'm tight, so I'm not going to get a good run. So that was a good bit of fun. But it's one of those, that turn one is quite fast, so if you want to have a move down the inside, you've got to be significantly alongside to make it stick. And of course, then you've got to be careful about running wide on the exit.
Yeah, and it goes into a tight, twisty section after this. So, you know, you want to be, you know, had Colin got better traction and we headed towards that corner coming up on the right, I would have probably had to back out. You can't go side by side through that right-hander kink before the banked corner. So, yeah, just showing you, we thought we'd just show you this example that, you know, there was no need for me to try and squeeze Colin or cut him off or turn in or anything like that, because I could use the outside of the track to get the extra traction, carry a bit more speed, and moves can be done into turn 1 here on the outside and the inside, so something for drivers to think about.
Yeah, exactly that. Just wondering whether, just before we end the stream, is there any questions that the chat wish us to answer?
Keep an eye on the pit entrance here, Cole. It's quite a, obviously, high speed entrance to the pit. There's barriers, so it's quite narrow as well. So slowing the car down to the 50 kph or 50 miles an hour, whatever it is key to making sure you don't get a 10-second time penalty.
Of course, Nick, as well, that we do have engine penalties being taken, grid penalties are being issued, and some gearbox penalties being taken as well. So quite surprised, considering, to be honest, yeah, it's quite tricky to overtake. So I'm surprised that there's a few drivers, not going to mention any names, but there's a few drivers who have selected to take their engine and gearbox.
Guys are making a good point. The pit exit can be very tight, so you obviously don't want to cross the line. Drivers are coming on the left-hand side, so it's quite a tight right-hander. So just to be careful. Callum mentioning on turn 9, if you tap the curb, it'll put grass on the front right. Yeah, so even though you don't touch the grass, the game is slightly incorrect, and it will put grass on the right-hand side of your car. So just be careful of that. That it can potentially catch a few drivers out. And Mark mentioning that there's a bump on the pit entry line on the track. So just all these things, great that everyone else is mentioning them in the chat call, so we can read them out, and other drivers who might not have known can keep that in mind.
Yeah, nice one, all. Thanks for that information. That's really helpful for all the drivers. That's good.
Alrighty, well, we are going to leave it there. This was episode 3 of Inside the Stewards Room. Big thanks to Jess, who's in our ear and providing all the graphics and footage that you've seen on the screen. And Cole, thank you to yourself for joining me, and of course your stewards for all the hard work you do. We haven't seen any strops or any paddies yet this season from the stewarding decisions, but I'm sure when they do come, and I'm sure they will, Cole, we will dive into them and try and explain them as best we can on the stream, because that's what this Inside the Stewards Room is all about.
Yeah, exactly that. We're here to explain our decisions a little bit better so you can understand why and how we come to a decision.
And of course, we'd just like to thank all of our sponsors and partners who help provide what we provide here at One Hub Racing. So SimGrid, who we run our championships through, Next Level Racing, who provide amazing prizes. So just a few that you'll be able to win season 27 on your screen now. Vespertine, of course, who we're partnered with and help provide our merchandise as prizes. And Sim Racing Setups, Cole, new for this season. Really interesting to run their setups, and I think they made their Netherlands setup public this week, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah. So that one is free for anyone to have a look at and see if it'll help you out.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for joining us. As always, it's been good fun to be here in the comms box with Colin, and we look forward to seeing you if you're joining us for this practice session on this fine Friday evening, or if not, we will see you on Sunday. Remember, Jess and Colin are live at 12 o'clock for the pre-race show. Make sure you join in and show your support. And if you're a driver who wants to be interviewed, make sure you react when the time comes tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Cheers all, good night.
You